Hey everybody, I hope you're all feeling better today, at least on the road to recovery. These are the notes that we took today in class, Friday, November 19th. I wanted to go over them with you. This is review on the different types of government. So in your social studies notebook, yes, the notebook we haven't used a lot of, but in your social studies notebook, at the top of the page, just like Robia did, she put lesson 3.2 types of government. So it's the title of these notes. It's our lesson. And then for each slide, you are going to write the question that I give you, like what is government? And then you are going to answer it based on what is on the slides. So you need to take notes throughout this presentation in your notebook. So the first question that we need to answer is, what is government? Okay, government is the system by which a country, state, or community is ruled. So it's the system that's in place to create rules, to create laws for a country, a state, or a community. If you need more time to jot down the notes at any time, just pause the video and then press play again to continue. So government is the system by which a country, state, or community is ruled. So why do we need a government? That's a good question. Why do we need a government? So we need a government to keep order, to keep people safe, to create laws to protect the safety of the citizens and the property, just to keep order so that there's not chaos. The second reason we need government is to provide services. Now take a minute. What type of services does the government provide? Do you have any ideas? Well, they provide the military, police protection, firefighters, education. They help fund schools. The government takes care and builds roads and highways and bridges and subways. The government provides health care and hospitals. Those are the type of services that a government can provide. And the third reason that we need government is to protect the common good, to make sure that all people in a community, state, or country are protected. So make sure you jot these down in your notes. What are the types of government? Now this week we talked about 3 different types of government. Now if you weren't here, you should have still read about them and completed your notes. But what are the 3 types of government? The first one is monarchy. The second one, dictatorship. And the third one, democracy. A monarchy is ruled by a king, a queen, an emperor, an empress, etc. So when you think of monarchy, always think of king or queen. In a monarchy, the ruler gains his or her power by being born into a royal family. So they inherit their power. It's passed down through the family. All right, so there's no elections in a monarchy. You gain the power. You become king or queen based on being part of the family. Usually, especially in historical times, it was passed down to the oldest son. So if the king died, the oldest son would take his place. There are 2 types of monarchies. There's an absolute monarchy and a constitutional monarchy. And based on the names, you can tell the differences between the 2. In an absolute monarchy, the ruler has unlimited power. He or she can do and say whatever they want. They have complete control. That's why it's called absolute. So the ruler has unlimited power. Citizens have no voice in government. in an absolute monarchy. Citizens do not have protected rights. And an absolute monarchy is usually based on tradition and loyalty. The citizens are loyal to the king or queen. They are his or her subjects. The citizens are known as subjects. And so in an absolute monarchy, the king, the queen, the emperor, the empress can do whatever he or she wants to do. They have the unlimited power. In a constitutional monarchy, it's quite different. The ruler has limited power, and the limited power is based on a constitution, a written plan of government. So in the Constitution, it tells what the king or queen can and cannot do. So there's limited power. In a constitutional monarchy, citizens are encouraged to participate in government and elect representatives. So in a constitutional monarchy, the king or queen doesn't really have a lot of power or a lot of say. There's a separate government in which there's elected representatives, maybe a prime minister, parliament, like in Great Britain. All right, citizens are engaged in the government. Citizens' rights are also protected in a constitutional monarchy. And in a constitutional monarchy, like the one in Great Britain today, the king or queen is more of a figurehead, a celebrity, an influencer, and not so much a political leader. Okay? Now, both absolute monarchies and constitutional monarchies are around today. An absolute monarchy, for example, is Saudi Arabia. You do need to know the difference between the two types. The next type of government we discuss is a dictatorship. And a dictatorship is ruled by a single person, a dictator, but it can also be ruled by a small group, maybe a group of 2 or 3, usually military leaders. But in most cases, it's ruled by a single person, a dictator. The ruler in a dictatorship, the ruler gains his or her power through force. So they force their way into power. They're not elected. They don't receive it because of a royal family. They take it. And in a dictatorship, the ruler has unlimited power. They can do and say whatever they want. Okay, and that's oftentimes the case. Now, there are some good dictators, but oftentimes a dictator uses harsh rule to keep citizens obeying the laws. So they're very strict to keep people obedient to the government. And you may see stories on the news about harsh dictators. In a dictatorship, the citizens have no voice in their government. Citizens' rights are not protected in a dictatorship. So citizens, the rights such as freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to a fair trial, all those things are not protected in a dictatorship. In fact, oftentimes they're not in the country at all. You don't see them. Or you might not be able to speak your mind about the government, or you might not be able to publish a newspaper article about the government because the dictator doesn't want it or the government doesn't want it. All right, so citizens' rights are not protected. And this is the case as well. Citizens may be punished for speaking out against the government. They may be put in jail. They may be banished from the country. They might be executed because of something they did or they said that went against the government. So that's dictatorship. So we talked about monarchy. We talked about dictatorship. Neither of these types of governments is what the United States has. The United States and many other countries, Canada, Mexico, Spain, Argentina, have a democracy. And in a democracy, the power belongs to the people. Now, most of the time, citizens elect representatives to run the government for them. A president, a senator, a governor, a mayor, a Congress, a representative, a council member, right? Citizens, like in the United States, we elect people to run the government, but the power belongs to the people. The people choose who's in charge, who are the rulers. And in a democracy, the power of the government is limited by law. So the government only has the power deemed necessary to have based on a constitution. So very limited. In a democracy, citizens' rights are protected, usually by a written constitution. So in the constitution, it will list out the rights that are protected by protected for the citizens, such as freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to a fair trial, the right to, a lawyer, the right to, there's so many in the United States Constitution that is similar in other countries in the Western Hemisphere. All right, so those are our notes on the types of government. Now, I hope you paused the video and you took notes in your notebook. All of these should be in there. You do need to know the different types of government, be able to distinguish between the different types. By Wednesday, we're going to have a quiz on Wednesday over the different types of government and what is government and what's the purpose of government. Why do we have it? So these notes are very, very vital to you understanding this lesson 3.2. Okay? So I hope you are feeling better, or at least starting to feel better, and I will talk to you all on Zoom Monday.